rep your third favourite trail and ultramarathon podcast while keeping cool and breezy in a DCR technical trucker hat, pleasing Woodland Vista, and one size fits most. Out now for $59.99 plus postage and packaging with a discount for DCR AidStation paid subscribers. You'll find the code in the newsletter available from the Dirt Church Radio website, www.dirtchurchradio.com.
It actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does look pretty good. It looks very good, actually.
It does.
I'm stoked with it. And they're flying out the door, and lots and lots of people.
Limited supply.
Limited supply. And the people who've bought them love them, so get your mitts on one.
And they're off. Here we go.
Welcome to Dirt Church Radio AidStation number 18. I'm Matt Raymond.
Ko Eugene Bingham tēnei. I te wiki o te reo Māori, i te wā katoa, whakatōhia te reo rangatira, ki ngā nākau o tātou, kia kaha te reo Māori, ake. In this week of te reo Māori, and at all times, let us plant the reo rangatira, te reo Māori in our hearts, forever and ever and ever. We made it. Hey, Matt Raymond.
Hey, Eugene Bingham. We made it. And yeah, anyone who's been listening to this podcast for the last 6 years, damn right, forever and ever and ever. How are you doing?
Good. Had a good couple of weeks of some interesting mahi and some interesting recovery exercises. It's been good. Yeah. How about you? Been down in the Holy Grail, in the Holy Lands of Rotorua?
Yeah, we went down. Yeah, it's been really, I feel like, quite the jet setter. We went down to Rotorua on the weekend to go to Tikiteri and stay with our friends because we could, and it was excellent and lots of nice time with sort of our whānau and lots of nice running around the forest, and it was beautiful, and running around the Blue Lake, which was beautiful, and yeah, just very, very nice. Speaking of recovery exercises, I went to a specialised head injury physio today.
Did you?
And she can only be described as swung me round by my head and did some exercises on me, which, yeah, have really rocked my world, shall we say, but on the mend. It's good.
Well, that's good.
So
like chiropractor type kind of... I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say that. But, like a manipulation, I guess is the word I should have used.
So they did a whole lot of... They put me in like a VR headset, and I'm still having a lot of problems with my vestibular system, so my eyes tracking and focusing and stuff like that, which is causing vertigo and nausea, especially around screens. So there was some realigning and stuff going on. And yeah, but apart from that, tickety-boo, you know.
And I hear there were reports you even got in the Blue Lake.
Not very far in the Blue Lake. Sort of just beneath my knees on Sunday morning, and it was freezing cold, I can tell you, but delicious, crystal clear, just absolutely lovely. But
it's so beautiful, isn't it? It's so clear and glistening. Can cut up rough, but...
Absolutely.
Like further, faster, there in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go further, faster now.
Oh, further, faster, there in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious.
Go further, faster now.
Right.
And what was your running adventures down there?
So the running adventures was strictly to the program.
Yes.
So the Saturday was, I just jumped on the black track, so the Whakarewa loop.
Out of Whakarewa, yep.
And did like 3 hours, just over 3 hours on that. And I ended up sort of, for those who know, I popped out over the top of Rotokakehi, went up Tikitapu Road, and then ended up on one of the Red Stag logging roads and hoofed it back down through the bottom of like Ball and Chain, Mad If You Don't, up Nursery Road and back to the thing, where I met my dog's brother, which sounds like an odd thing to say, but
You sent a photo and it was uncanny.
it was like my dog. It was like Rigby. So his actual, literal, total brother, same mum, same dad, and that was really, really strange, and because he's exactly like Rigby, so I don't feel like I'm a terrible dog parent now, seeing that that's just what Kelpies are like. But and then Sunday was laps of Blue Lake on tied legs, so that was again this there's never
Good training.
Never a problem.
Yeah,
So,
good training. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. The network of trails in that forest, Whakarewarewa, is amazing. Have I ever shown you my? I don't know what the word for it is. It's like a hanky, and it's kind of a cloth, but it's got the map of all the trails on it.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
No.
So you can carry it with you. And it can be multi-disciplined. You can use it to clean your glasses or
Mop your
whatever.
brow.
Mop your brow. But also, if you get lost, you just pull it out and you can have a look, see all the different trails. It's pretty cool.
The
I bought
amazing
it at the visitor centre. It's okay.
That's amazing. The thing that struck me about when I was down there on the weekend was just the amount of multi-use trails there are.
Yeah.
Multi-direction, multi-use. Like when I was cutting about there seemed to be, and I was, I wasn't running, I was riding, but, you're sort of strictly on the mountain bike trails, and there's lots of them. But there's a ton that are multi-use, including
Horses?
There was signs of horses.
Right.
Both
Why not?
both footprints and road apples. But apart from that, didn't see any horses. But there had been horses there, and it was great. It was
cool,
fantastic.
Good. Hey, this week I want to take you somewhere dark, really, and do a deep dive into the phenomenon that is Strava, the good, the bad, the ugly, and as I said, something dark. First off, the act of Strava muling.
What a time to be alive!
What a time to be alive! Unbelievable.
I thought this was a joke the first time I heard of it, the first time anyone sort of talked, and I messaged you, and it was an all caps message that we have to talk. But please,
well, I'd had coincidentally, because it was around now, I'd had a non-running friend message me saying, "Are you on this thing called Strava?" And I was like, well, kind of. Why? Like, I wouldn't have thought that they would know what Strava was. And then he says, do you use mules? And I was like, what are you talking about? And I had to look it up and was like, what? And so, it was around the time that it was an influencer, wasn't it? Came out and sort of outed himself as a Strava mule. And in case anyone doesn't know, do you want to explain what a Strava mule is, Matt?
Well, to mule, that's a term in ultramarathon running where if I was pacing Eugene in some races like Leadville, the pacer can carry all the person's gear. So I could carry Eugene's all his mandatory gear, all his water, all his food, and that is called muling, like a mule.
Like a mule.
And Strava muling is, I understand, if I am struggling to keep up with mileage goals or goals that I might have, told the entire internet that I was going to do, I might pay someone to run in my stead so that I could collect kudos, followers, and notoriety from that.
Yeah. So this guy who outed himself, he did it quite brazenly, and he wasn't like, excuse me, he wasn't like, I'm apologising for this. He was like, hey, I'm available for business. And he was about to go on a run. He had 2 phones and a watch, none of which were his. And I think one of the phones was his, but he'd logged into someone else's Strava account. And he was carrying someone else's phone and he had someone else's watch. And he was going to go for a run and record this run as if he was these clients of his. So it just beggars, why would you do that?
Well, I think it's because, there's that saying, what is it? We adopted the dark, they grew up in it. We're in a space now where people are, probably getting into the second generation of being tech naive. And to my mind, the dopamine-based validation economy and the potential for real economy versus through notoriety and everything like that has very real payoffs for some people, or I guess in people's heads. It's an anathema to me.
I've got a shorter answer.
Yeah.
Humans are dickheads. Is why you was like, come on. Seriously? I had to think back to Strava and where it began for me. And so I started hearing about it on a podcast that I used to listen to called Marathon Talk back in, sort of the I think it was 2014. And they were talking about this thing called Strava. I had no idea what it was at that point, but it turns out I was actually a bit of an early adopter for me, wasn't I, Matt?
Yeah. So Strava was 2009. Strava came about.
So it's only 5 years behind the eight ball. Wow, that's amazing for me.
Michael Horvath and Mark Gainey, apparently college friends, and came up with
how
it.
all good apps be.
Yeah, exactly. Where's
how
that
all
ever
good
got
social
us?
networks? Yeah, that's how all good social networks evolve.
So keep going.
So I'd heard about
2014.
them talking about it, sort of wondered what it was, and then signed up. And I found my first run that I logged on there, which was just a normal run around the block, and then basically I got hooked pretty badly. Well, like we all do, just kind of became reliant on it. And I kind of used it. I've used it over the last 10 years, pretty religiously. When do you remember when you got onto it?
Well, I was a Daily Mile guy. Now, does anyone remember Daily Mile RIP?
The run streak. Yeah.
The run streak. And actually, you could, not only could you, I think you had to log your runs manually. Oh, you could connect it to I had a Magellan GPS watch, which had another layer of a battery extender, and I wore it for my first Tarawera. And in the photos, it's sticking up about 6 inches above my wrist, this thing.
And your left arm is about 4 times bigger than your right arm.
But, you'd go on Daily Mile, and I think I was part of a group of about, 10, it felt like about 10 of us. And then people gradually were talking about Strava and jettisoning Daily Mile for Strava. And that's how I got into that. And definitely by, I think 2014, 2015, I was on Strava. Certainly not that it wasn't paid back then. It was just Strava. You just joined up.
Would you be a black T-shirt or the blue T-shirt for Squad Run, Matt?
I think that you know that question before you've even asked it.
Black and blue. So those are our mates at Squad Run. They've been coming on the show since a long, long time ago. You hear them regularly giving some incredible advice. You can avail yourself of that advice yourself if you sign up as a member of Squad Run and get some coaching from them. You can actually get yourself a 4-week special trial at the moment. If you check out the link on our website, which is www.dirtchurchradio.com, you'll find a special link for a 4-week special deal that the good folks at Squad Run have put together. Kerry and Ellie, they're also sponsoring Greatest Run Ever. So thanks, Squad Run.
Thanks.
Well, that's what I've never been a paid member. I've never given them a dime. Sorry, Strava. I remembered today actually that I did go through a Map My Run phase where I would use Map My Run. I think I got onto that because you'd sit down at the weekend. It's like, I have to run X number of kilometers or whatever, or da-da-da. And I could use Map My Run to figure out, how far a run would be. I don't think I ever used it for like recording runs as such. I do remember somebody running in a half marathon I was running in with once who had mapped my run and had like K splits being read out to them by a robot from, because it would be like, the last kilometer was 3 minutes and 58 seconds, and it was just like after about 10K, I was ready to rip the watch off his wrist. But anyway, so I got onto Strava and have used it pretty religiously for the last 10 years. But in July, I kind of have walked away from it. I haven't given it up completely, but I have stopped logging my activity. My activities were being automatically uploaded, but I've stopped that happening. And I've taken it off my phone. I tried to turn myself into a ghost so that I couldn't be found on there, just so that I could like shut it, because I shut down all notifications as well, turn off all notifications. And I tried to be a ghost, but you can't. The only way to do that is to delete your account. And I didn't really want to do that because someday I might go back to it. And there's 10 years of data in there. But it's kind of all tied up. Obviously, it's coincided with me not doing much running this year. When I say not much, none. And that kind of changed my relationship with Strava, probably not surprisingly, in two ways. One, I would get jealous. I'd see people's runs in there and I'd be like, man, I wish I was doing that run. I wish I was doing that run. Da-da-da. But I could kind of handle that. I was, because obviously I'm still on a running podcast. So of course I'm around running. So I could kind of handle that. But what I realized Strava had done to me was it was warping my validation of my exercises, of my activities. And it was kind of okay when I was running and getting other things from running. So, just being out with my mates, going for a run, working towards a goal, just the joy and the freedom of being out running. Those things were all gratifying. And when I didn't have those, it was basically just, I realized that Strava was this kind of bad influence, I suppose. And that what I was, I sort of got in this trap of like trying to make things look good. Not that I wasn't using Strava Mules, to be clear. But, what should I make the title of this one? Oh, I wonder if I can get a photo with this one. Oh, I could, go and do that. And it's just like, this is just rubbish. The only reason you're doing this is because of Strava. And so I kind of, I decided that's it. I just have to get off. I turned it off, really. It's still there, obviously, if I want to go back to it. But I've kind of walked away from it for the first time in 10 years. Have you ever had time off it?
No, I haven't. And it's totally understand. If I was in your shoes, absolutely. That kind of like waking up, being bombarded with things that you are unable to do, and all your friends are, and all the little metrics that tell you
like
how.
My graphs are just like
there it is
compared to last year
in black and white. Yeah,
it's like I know.
I've never had a break off it, and interestingly, it's funny. Your talent for that stuff with the photos and the titles were really, really, really cool. Like I wish I could keep. I've had positive relationship with Strava. I've had less positive relationships with Strava, and but no, I've never had a break off it, and I do like. I'm not a particularly data-driven person, but I do like being able to go back, reflect, have a look at how many times I've run a certain route or what have you. I'm in a really good space with it now, and that it's used primarily for that. But
the thing is, you can get that from other
100%
other things, don't you?
Yeah.
So it is that social aspect to it. It is a social network, isn't it?
And it's lovely in that, so, for myself, my Strava's set to private. I don't ever have any, because this is how broken my brain is, I don't ever have any notifications on any of my devices for any of my social media, so Strava, I don't have Facebook I don't have a Facebook app. Instagram, I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on TikTok, thank God, I'm not on anything like that. So, but my Strava is a way to engage with my friends. It's a way to give people validation, because you see some people doing some spectacular things,
stuff, yeah.
And I like I'd love to keep a journal, but if I have something that does that automatically,
Yeah.
and I guess, if we're talking, I'm as classically conditioned as the next Pavlov's dog to that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, it feels really arbitrary. So I used to track shoes, everything like that. I don't title runs, I don't hide any data, I don't do anything. It just loads up and there we go.
Yeah. So what are the good things? You mentioned good and bad things about it. What are the good things for you?
For me, I like knowing like stuff like, did I meet so I can go back and like it's like I know how it works. I know what it's simple enough. So someone who's, I'm not DC Rainmaker, right? In fact, I've never made it through a whole article awake of his. He's a genius, and God love him, but it's a lot of data. I like looking at like elevation. I like looking at all that kind of stuff. That's really important. I like thinking about like routes to build and things like that. Like I really like that. I like the validation of it. I get a bit worried about how much it's probably tracking and building a profile and using that for, consumerism. That's why I turned off all the stuff around like, you need new shoes. Who says I need new shoes? Does, this brand or whatever? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm so, I like it because I like it, I guess.
Yeah. And I've, as I say, been a disciple of it for 10 years. And so this is not to cast shade on it and stuff, but it has caused me to sort of think. And like I've been uploading to Training Peaks for just about as long, maybe. And Training Peaks does all that. It keeps track of your
I love Training Peaks.
Ks, your altitude, your frequency, blah, blah, blah. It also gives you some pretty savage feedback, which I've been getting lately. But it's not public. And so, Garmin does as well. I've got a Garmin watch and I upload to Garmin, whatever it's called these days, Garmin
Connect.
And so, I'm still uploading my swims and rides and walks and exercises up to those. But it doesn't seem... So I'm not bothered by that, but it's just that it was that way that I felt like I was being forced to be fake about the reality, I suppose.
Well,
I don't know. I'm getting into psychoanalysis.
No, I don't think you
of myself, but
I don't. Well, I don't think you are. I think you're being very reflective. But when we look at that stuff, and you're right on that. It's that kind of, what do they call it? Social capital. I was actually listening to a podcast today. There is a professor. His name's Robert Putnam. Have you heard of him?
no.
He wrote the book Bowling Alone, and he wrote it in 1999. And he said, basically, it's coming. Social isolation's coming. This kind of thing of Facebook became more popular than bowling leagues, and they talked about isolation and how something like running, which can be both a very individualistic sport, but it can be a very collective sport. I think that's kind of part of it too. We can think that so there's good and bad parts to it. Like we can think that we've got all this sort of social capital and we're being really connected, but really we're running very solitary lives. But the positive part about it is he talked about our existence now of being an alloy of digital and connection, and we can actually make it. Yeah, that's the word he used, like an alloy, like a really positive alloy. Like me and you going for a run with, let's say, Harry in the forest, and we upload it to. We ran together. We had that thing. We uploaded it to Strava. Other friends can engage with it, who we also run with. And it kind of builds positively, and the like you said, the negative part of that, you build up this kind of alloy, a negative alloy, where you're just kind of trying to put either an unrealistic, like the Strava Mule, I guess that's one end of the bell curve, or you just trying to put the best face on things, like like I'm really freaking injured still.
Yeah,
you will suck, which is a very reasonable response. Like, yay, I ran around the blue lake, like. jump in the Blue Lake, dickhead. You know, like
No, it wasn't that, and it wasn't. That's
I
the
would
thing.
be like that.
I was like, I of course, I'd look at runs and go, oh man, but I could deal with that. It was the, yeah, like I don't know, trying to make a, silk purse out of a sousy, really.
So what did you like turning that back on you? I mean, what are both the positive and the less positive things you see with Strava?
Well, for me, for 10 years, it was the social aspects. So like I said, I use those other apps to track data as such. So there's no need for that. And back in the day, I used to have a paper diary. It wasn't like I only gave it up when Strava came along. In fact, for a little while, I ran both digital upload and a paper diary. So I've got stacks of paper diaries lying around that I used to just fill in every day of my runs. So I've always liked keeping track of stuff, and Strava made it easy, but so did those other apps. So it wasn't just that. And it was that connection. It was that seeing what other people were doing. I liked encouraging other people as well. I like that, especially, there are some mates who might start out running, and then they'll come and find you on Strava, and because I had mine set to private, so you had to request. And I'll be like, oh, cool, they're doing some running. And then you'd make sure you check up on them if they've, because the old algorithm wouldn't always serve up their runs, but you go and check how they're going. Oh, wow, cool. Chucking a comment, chucking some kudos, So I liked that aspect of it, that kind of, whakamana. So increasing the mana of other people and encouraging them. I really liked that. I liked the, just being able to see, oh, cool, so-and-so's done a run out there. That's awesome. I might try that when I'm down there or whatever. Sort of, there are other ways of doing that, of course. There's the, the Wild Things directory and stuff. But it's great to be able to see someone who's done a run somewhere and you think that looks cool, and then you can do it yourself. It kind of comes with their endorsement, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or reach out to them and go, hey, I saw you did that run, around such and such. What was that like? Oh yeah, it was great. Here's the GPX. So I like that connectivity, that social side of it. They for me were the good things about it. Yeah.
Healthy competition too, right? Like there is that part in all of us. Like we all wanted to see how fast we could run a DC. Or I like that. Like we want to see how fast we could run a DCMF.
I didn't see because I was never because I didn't sign up to the paid membership. Then leaderboards, not
really, a thing.
Not a thing. So I never really got into that. I don't care. I know I'm slow, so it doesn't matter.
Well, you might be at the moment, but
right.
but you're not slow.
Well, I mean, how far behind Nick Johnson am I? So
that's all of us, though, isn't it? Like
exactly. So I didn't really get into that side of it, but yeah, for some it is, and I guess one of the dangerous things about it is. And I experienced this when I look back at that first run in 2014, and it was just a jog around the block. And then I saw how fast I'd gone. It's like, oh my God, I was so much faster 10 years ago. What the hell has happened to me? Yeah. So I guess that's a potentially dangerous bit of it. But, overall it's a good thing. But I guess I'm just here to say, just maybe have a think about what Strava means to you, why you use it, and your relationship with it, I guess.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
There was one positive Strava story, and it's Nick Johnson related, and it actually probably saved my life. Gucci. So famous Trail and River Head, it's the entry point at the Eastern Block if you run through the thing, through the suburb. And for a while I had the CR on Gucci Down. And I think I'm still second, which I, again, talk about can't believe I've used to run that fast. And Nick Johnson came one day and he put, I think, 4 seconds on me. And I'd gone at suicide pace down this hill. Like, it was ridiculous. And then he put 4 seconds on me and I was like, okay, we're game on. Like, that's...
Johnson, you're going down.
Johnson, you're going down. And then I saw the next day he'd come back and he'd put a further, I think, 12 or 15 seconds. And it was 16 or 17 seconds over like a couple of 100 meters of basically running straight down a
And
hill.
what did he name that run? Gentle jog in the forest?
Gentle jog in the recovery from hysterical paralysis. And I actually got to the top of this thing and I went 16 seconds over, 400 meters or whatever it is. That will be, and I was and this is the thing, of course, barrels roll downhill. I think I was going about 3-minute pace down this thing. Yeah, right? You know what Gucci's like.
Oh, yeah.
And I just went, no, you will die if you try to do that. Like, that is.
But you might have got the Strava segment. Like, if you timed it, like if you
True.
like smashed and rolled down, you still, as long as your watch was still going.
The watch. Straight across. Yeah, so that was a really positive, and that's how my mind goes. I was like, no, I just don't have the, it doesn't mean that much.
Yeah. The only Strava segment hunting or racing I've got involved in was a local loop, near to home. And there's a couple of us who run around here and sort of, I don't know, it must have been near to that 10 years ago. Few of us were sort of like, joshing about who had the Strava segment. And it was somebody we didn't know had it. And so one friend went, okay, I'm going to go and get it. And they went and got it. And then I made it my mission to destroy myself to get the segment. So I did. I got it, and I pipped him by not very much, I don't know, 5 seconds or something. But it was like, knowing he would have got the email saying, Eugene Bingham has stolen you. Whatever. So I was feeling very happy with myself until that Christmas. I got the message of doom, so-and-so has stolen your segment. And they had absolutely obliterated it. Like just, Nick Johnson's proportion stripped me bare and ripped this time off me. So, of course, I did some Strava sleuthing. And it was some prick had arrived from Hawke's Bay over Christmas, right? Turned up in the hood, obviously staying with family, and probably saw that segment. Well, there's some easy money, and went and still to this day, as far as I know, I haven't checked for years, has the segment. Yeah,
I thought it was.
There you go. It was very funny.
2 things I like about it. I mean, and I don't. Does the I quite like the local legend segment. Yeah,
I don't think I get those because I'm not premium.
So it's the participate. I mean, I choose to pay for it, which it's the participation award. It's how many times I like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Again, I'm set to private now, so I don't. That functionality is lost to me because I don't like people kind of. But I also like, one of the things I do like with the segment names, I like how that makes a shared understanding of spaces, and they become mythic. Like segments become more than the sum of their parts, and they become legendary in people's minds. Or the
DCMF half.
DCMF half.
And which is kind of, I mean, I like it too because it's a throwback to days of yore. Like we all know when Gary was running out in the forest decades and decades ago, our good friend who's passed on now, Waimara, he had names. He and Sean had names for sections of the trails. In fact, when I started running with you, there was clashes when they would be like, let's go up Burma, huh? What's Burma?
Gary's Hill.
Yeah. So there were different names, but and so Strava, I guess, has brought those together a bit more. But I like that that's kind of a throwback to the conventions that runners have used for decades. My favourite though, Strava naming segment was, I think it was Edinburgh Marathon years ago. had an atrocious year where they messed up the distance of the race. There were aid stations that didn't have water, and so some pissed off runners named segments of the course so that when the Edinburgh Marathon was run next year, every single runner was getting notifications for, this is the bit where you should have finished last year, except the bleep bleep organisers bleep bleeped up the course measurements. This is where the aid station was and they just abused the race organisers via Strava segment names. I thought it was quite clever.
That is quite clever. One thing I will say on the old Strava segment names, I would give it the would you say it in an elevated test.
Oh, some of them I must say are actually embarrassing.
Atrocious. Yeah.
Atrocious.
Would you there was one that we had to, again, which is really well known in the forest, and we had to change it because we were putting a race through there, and we're like, we can't do this. Like,
we have to get rid of it.
We have to get rid of it. And we successfully did. And now the loggers have. But so it's gone.
They'd had enough. The loggers were so appalled.
They came and they destroyed hectares. Carthage.
All to get rid of one Strava segment name.
All to get rid of one Strava segment name. But look, I mean, I sort of go back to that thing of, it's really sad, isn't it, that we kind of get wrapped up in this stuff around, and again, it's a bell curve, isn't it? Like, we've all felt that kind of the rub with Strava or anything that you use or share publicly is we hold ourselves up to other people. And I think it is really sad. It's really, really sad that people are, I don't know if you could call it cheating. I guess they are cheating.
Oh, yeah, they're cheating. Well, but mostly themselves.
Yeah, themselves. That's really, I feel really sad for them. You know,
absolutely. Yeah. If you don't think of doing that. Do you know anyone who would? Like, no, don't name names.
I do not know. I know someone I know a few who would probably do it for a joke.
Right.
Who would, I could see some people like goading each other on to. Yes. Actually, yes, I do. I know one person who, and they're not a close friend, in fact, a friend at all. And I'm sure that they damn well don't listen to this podcast. But there's been a few like, is that a run or is that a bike ride?
Well, there's always been the bike ride once, isn't there? That you go,
is that a run or is that a bike ride?
Yeah. I do have to confess that I think it's my 1K PR. I think it's my 1K PR. Anyway, in Strava is from the Tarawera 100 mile because I didn't turn my watch off on the boat.
Are you supposed to turn your watch off on the boat?
Well, I didn't know, and I flew into a panic when I hopped on the boat. It's like, am I meant to? I don't know.
Good to be.
And then I got a notification like, congratulations, you've set your. I was like, what? Oh, okay, yeah, radio.
I actually think I do have the CR up Longbush Road. Same thing. I was in Matt Fraser's ute.
Oh, Matt Fraser's ute.
But you can't take it off. I was like, I'm going to take it. Whatever. So it's unobtainable, but it's like, I think it's 2 minutes or something like that, a 2 kilometer, whatever it was. It's clearly, so flag that run. Flag that, please.
Yeah. Do me a favour.
Do it. I can't live with it. I haven't been sleeping. Well, look, I mean, let us know. Have you had any Strava triumphs, any Strava tragedies? Does it work for you? Does it not? Share it, share the love with us. Mm-hmm. And if you wouldn't mind sharing this podcast too, like if you have some other, like share it like you're on Daily Mile and we're the new kid on the block. If you know some other running randos that you're hanging out with, share Dirt Church Radio around. Give them a recommendation.
And if you want to let us know anonymously about any of your Strava secrets safe with us.
Strava
we're
crimes.
Like a confessional. We're like the confessional of running. The church and Dirt Church comes to the fore.
We promise absolute discretion. Like if there's anyone out there who has a Strava crime that they wish to unburden themselves, we, my son or daughter, are your absolution.
Took one my send them to us, and we'll absolve you of your guilt
through the medium of our amusement.
Yes.
Right, that's it. Thanks, Eugene. Thank you to our DCR AidStation crew, you lot. Stay tuned for the regular DCR podcast next week when we have an amazing guest lined up for an incredible chat.
Hei konei, hei kona. Thanks, Rigby. If you want to get the DCR hit that you love ad-free and get it every single Wednesday, there's a way to do that. Sign up to become a member of the DCR AidStation crew, $8 a month or $80 a year. Paid subscribers get full access to the newsletter featuring recommendations, reviews, and the special sauce. Special sauce is quite cool, isn't it, Matt?
Maybe I've been drinking from the special sauce bottle a bit much lately, but really enjoy putting together the content, really love bringing it out to the people, and the people really love it too. So yeah, get involved, support Dirt Church Radio. We've been cracking on for 6 years now, and we really love bringing this to you. So help us help you to help us help you, helping us.
You can find a link on the website, which is www.dirtchurchradio.com.